On February 3rd, the San Antonio Spurs traded for De'Aaron Fox to be the co-star alongside their generational talent Victor Wembanyama. I really appreciate how the Spurs wasted no time getting the proper help around Wemby, but unfortunately the basketball gods would not reward this out of the gate, as Fox and Wemby would only get to play 4 total games before Victor was diagnosed with blood clots, resulting in him being shut down for the season. As a result, the Spurs would fail to make a playoff push, but the light at the end of the tunnel was the number 2 pick in the draft, which they used to select Dylan Harper. They also added another lottery pick in Carter Bryant, and they have plenty of young guys who could take a leap, including the 2025 Rookie of the Year, Stephon Castle. The Spurs are more loaded with talent than they have been since Kawhi was on the team, but it also is a lot of unproven talent, making it kind of debatable what the expectations should be for this team. Do they need another year or two, or are the San Antonio Spurs contenders right now? Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel and drop a like on this video. There's a deep dive coming out on the 31st, end of the month. Please be on the lookout for that. It is a hater manifesto for a certain guy who I have bitched about on this channel 1,000 times over the years. So please be on the lookout for that. Watch it when it comes out. It's the best thing you can do to support me and this channel. Thank you. Anyways, first and foremost, we should talk about the main character in this whole thing. Victor Wembanyama, as far as I'm concerned, should be a consensus top 10 player headed into the 2025-26 season. I saw more than enough in the 46 games that he played. He was about to run away with the Defensive Player of the Year award as he accumulated 176 blocks in just over 1,500 minutes, meaning he blocked a shot every 8.7 minutes. He also was a plus 7.8 on defense. When he was on the floor, the Spurs had a 112.7 opponent offensive rating. When he was off of the floor, that number jumped to 120.5. For reference, 112.7 would be the 9th ranked defense last season, while 120.5 would be the worst in the NBA. I point this out to highlight Victor's incredible defensive impact, as well as how bad this team was defensively without him. More on that second part later. We're in the glazing part of the video right now. There are no questions about Wemby's defense. So long as he is healthy and available, at least in the minutes that he plays, he can single-handedly carry a defense to being one of the best in the league. So points there for they're a contender crowd, because having this level of a defensive anchor goes a long way. On offense, there are indeed more questions, but I find most of them to have been fairly alarmist, specifically from older NBA fans or former players who are mad at him for shooting too many threes. Now, I am 100% in agreement that Wemby shouldn't be launching threes quite like he did last year, but I don't think that has ever been the intention to begin with. The threes that Wemby took last year, to me, seemed more about developing his shot from out there more than anything else, not for the long term. He gets a high volume of difficult shots, meaning that he gets a bunch of reps from all kinds of spots and all kinds of contexts, and it kind of forces him to improve as a shooter, especially through contests. And you know what? He's so damn good at them that he ended up making them well enough. He shot 0.8% below league average this year, which, yes, less than league average is not good, but taking 8.8 threes a game with a healthy number of them coming off of the dribble and from super deep, that makes him one of the better shooters in the NBA, especially at the center position. I will take that. And you can see watching him this year that teams slowly but surely grew genuinely fearful of that shot, which then freed up driving lanes for him. A lot of this criticism was bad faith from people who just outright hate the idea of a 7'6" guy ever taking a jump shot, but that's living in the past. The 3 makes Wemby a better player. I don't think he needs to be nearing double-digit three-point attempts on average, but like 6 or 7 a game, dialing back some of the deeper shots and having to be guarded from out there at that size, I think that makes sense. That's a huge advantage that anyone with a brain wired for 2025 basketball can see clear as day. Just because he shot the 3 like he did last regular season does not mean that that's what his game is destined to be. Something that I hope will get explored more with Victor this upcoming season is his playmaking. He's got a real knack for it, and I was disappointed to see him receive less playmaking opportunities in year 2. He's also pretty damn solid in the mid-range / floater range. around league averages percentage in all three mid-range ranges. But out of a second-year player, especially one this damn big, league average is hella impressive. I do think that the floater range shot becoming lethal would do a lot for him, and that this shot is about as that shot is about as unguardable gets, because his release point is so high that blocking his shot would require the same precision and verticality it takes to block a dunk. What Wemby will always be best at is rolling to the rim and being a lob target. In fact, I think he will surpass Anthony Davis as the best half-court lob target ever. His catch radius is bonkers. He also has enough of a vertical to get some hang time in there, and his standing reach is like 1,000,000 feet or so. As a result, I've been waiting to see Wemby paired with a dynamic playmaker. To this point in his career, he's gotten 3 real answers to the point guard position, and none of them were too grand. First, there was Jeremy Sohan, and that whole debacle. Don't even get me fucking started on that nightmare. Then there was Trey Jones, and eventually Chris Paul, both players with far better passing chops than scoring chops, especially CP3 at the age of 39. He hasn't played with someone who was both a good passer and a huge threat to score the ball. Insert De'Aaron Fox. Now, I must admit, I was a little sour on Fox as San Antonio, not because of any qualms with Fox as a player. He just wasn't necessarily the first pick that I would have as like the type of point guard to play with Wemby. I wanted Trae Young or even LaMelo Ball, guys who were known for their passing first and foremost. Trae Young specifically is the master of the floater / lob move that is yet unnamed as far as I'm aware. A flob? A loader? I don't know. But you know what I mean. Fox is more of a score first point, and I wanted to see him with a more pass first point. But upon further reflection, I don't know if I agree with my original assessment that he first and foremost needed a playmaker, because Wemby is a more dynamic player than that, and what I realized is Fox will make for a good target for Wemby, damn near as much as Wemby will be for Fox. Remember what I said earlier about Wemby's playmaking? Well, I think there's a good chance we will see him take a leap in that department this season, and the great thing about Fox is he has developed a really strong cutting game when playing alongside Domantas Sabonis, who's the second best passing 5 in the league. Victor's ability to shoot, handle, and pass the ball means he and De'Aaron Fox can have an extremely dynamic, versatile two-man game. Wemby can roll, Wemby can pop, Wemby can initiate a handoff, fake a handoff. De'Aaron Fox can fake trying to receive a handoff and cut faster than his defender can even see. Hell, I think they could even run inverted pick and roll if they really wanted to. It's not the first thing that I would recommend, but weirdly enough, that's actually more because of Fox as a screener than Wemby as the ball handler. Says a lot about Wemby. I really hope that I am right and Victor Wembanyama is trusted to make more on-ball decisions. I think that is the way to make this duo truly unguardable. My only concern with Fox is that he isn't like an S-tier playmaker. He's quite a good one, but he's definitely more of a score-first point. I also had become increasingly disillusioned with how Fox scored, as a core tenet of his game earlier into his career had started slipping. I am referring to his volume as a driver. In his first 4 seasons, 26.4% of his shots came from 0 to 3 feet. In his last 4 seasons, that number is down to 16.2%. But on the positive end of things, in the 17 games that Fox played for the Spurs, that number went up to 20.7%. Quite an improvement from the 14% he averaged with Sacramento that same season. I think either someone got in his ear or he just decided for himself that he was going to be more aggressive on the drive. I certainly got that impression when I watched his game with Wemby against the Wizards when they both had 30 points. The dude was zooming up and down the floor and getting to the rim as much as he could. I know it's the Wizards, but still, clearly a change in his mentality. Fox being this high-volume driver and cutter constantly putting pressure on the rim will make his job as a playmaker substantially easier. Fun fact, with Fox's volume of drives decreasing in the last few years, he has also seen a correlation with his assist averages decreasing. In Fox's 2nd through 4th season, he averaged 7.1 assists and 2.9 turnovers. In the seasons following that, he has averaged 5.9 assists and 2.7 turnovers. A good bit of this, I would even say most of it, is due to Sabonis, But just speaking from an eye test perspective, it's clear that Fox doesn't get as many assists on drive and kicks as he should, regardless of who he's sharing the floor with. In San Antonio, however, his assist numbers climbed a hair along with his extra driving, and that was without Wemby as a target for all but 4 of his 17 games with San Antonio. I think if Fox keeps up this aggressiveness on the drive, then he should be able to apply enough rim pressure to draw significant defensive attention. And from there, if Wemby is open, then Fox has quite a large margin for error in terms of aiming the pass. He has quite the catch radius, as I previously mentioned. And I personally believe that Fox will be doing that. Where Fox was going wrong in his latter days in Sacramento was he was falling in love with the mid-range game and eventually three-point game, and he lost sight of what made him the dominant scorer he was before. His level of speed, burst, and verticality paired with some very solid touch makes him a super dangerous weapon downhill. He's just got to use it. Now, with the positives out of the way, I do need to mention that Fox's jumper can be a bit wishy-washy. This season, he shot 31% from 3. This after having a career year from outside before this, shooting 36.9% on 7.8 three-point attempts per game. His mid-range statistics remain relatively consistent since 2020, outside of an outlier 23-24 season where he shot very poorly. He's been a bad three-point shooter more than he's been a good one in the NBA by quite a bit. I don't think he's as bad as that 31% mark, but I'm doubtful he's nearly as good as that 37% on high volume either. If his pull-up three is a legit weapon on top of everything else, then this team can really be unlocked at the next level. If Fox can maintain high volume as a driver while killing it in the mid-range and being above average from 3 on good volume, then he's a lethal scorer at that point from all positions. He just hasn't managed to string all of these things about his game together in the same season. Like if Fox had his 20-20-21 driving rate and efficiency, his 22-23 mid-range game, and his 23-24 three-point shot, he would be a flawless 3-level scorer, but he doesn't need all of that to still be super effective. I have no doubt that he can put up good assist numbers next to Victor. Any point guard worth his salt should be able to pull that off. Trey Jones and a 39-year-old CP3 put up big assist numbers with Wemby. What I'm looking out for most is if Fox can truly elevate Wemby's game with his playmaking at an elite level. If he can have an insane impact on Victor, that goes a long way. If he's just pretty good at elevating Wemby's game or like just checks the box well enough, it doesn't hit the same. I think these two guys having perfect chemistry on the floor is essential if they want to win a title. And you know what? I'm more inclined to believe in this duo than not. As many words as I just typed out about these two, I have little doubt that both of them will have all-star level efforts this season at the very least. All that negative shit that I said about Fox is mostly just me nitpicking. But what I am very doubtful of is the rest of the Spurs roster. Dylan Harper was this team's number 2 overall pick. A lot of outlets have compared him to Cade Cunningham and Jalen Brunson, which is a tad odd considering that those players are significantly different in stature. But when you think about it, their games are pretty similar, minus the foul baiting, of course. That's a cool player to have, obviously, an all-star level point. But how does he fit alongside Fox? I'm not a draft guy, so take this particular part of the video with a grain of salt. But just looking at his summer league footage and what's been said about him, he seems like an awkward fit at shooting guard on this team. He has the size to play the position, but he's best with the ball in his hands, and he's also not much of a shooter. Maybe he can be, but he's given us no reason to believe he will be good from outside out of the gate. He shot 33% from 3 on healthy volume in college and went 1 for 8 from outside in summer league across 2 games. He'll get to run the backup point guard minutes, I'm sure, and having other ball handlers and playmakers on the floor with Wemby can very much be a good thing, but I'm skeptical that this transition in play style won't have quite a few bumps in the road when this is a rookie that we're talking about, number 2 pick or not. Maybe he'll be a good shooter in the NBA, but if he's not, it makes me wonder if the Spurs would have been better off trading this draft pick. Not that Harper isn't worth it, but that fit is just weird because you also have Stephon Castle, who will be receiving big minutes at either guard spot. He himself is a good playmaker and scorer, and especially a great defender, but guess what? He can't shoot threes neither. I'm all for an abundance of playmaking, but I'm afraid that this team might have too many guys who need to be playmaking to provide that value. After Fox and Wemby are taken into account, the main thing I want from my supporting cast will first and foremost be shooting and perimeter defense, not playmaking. Again, I'm not questioning anyone's talent as a player overall. I just have serious reservations about the fit. We also have Jeremy Sohan, another guy who can't shoot, who will be a key staple of the rotation. Keldon Johnson has not had a good season from outside since 2022. Their free agent addition, Luke Cornett, is also a non-shooter, which, sorry for the tangent on this, but I really need to point this out. The amount of people that I see referring to Cornett as a stretch big when he has taken exactly 22 threes in his last 222 games blows my mind. Luke Cornett was a failed stretch big who got good at defense and finishing around the rim. It's been a weird career arc for him, but earth to those who have not updated their Luke Core knowledge in a while. The dude can't shoot threes anymore. Anyways, they do have Julian Champagny, who shot 37% from 3 on 6 attempts a game last season. He is a confident, pure shooter, and I believe in him a lot, especially for his insane contract value. And they also have Devin Vassell, who's had kind of a weird career arc as of late. He probably got asked to do a little bit too much offense for a while, and it both worked and didn't in a lot of ways. He had a down year this year, but then got better as the season progressed. But I think he should thrive way more in a third option role next to Wemby and Fox rather than trying to shoehorn him in as a second option as I think they were doing earlier. I'd compare his role now to like what Kevin Huerter was doing on the 22-23 Kings, except with considerably more mid-range pull-ups. They also have two vets in Kelly Olynyk and Harrison Barnes, who are both knockdown shooters. Their lottery pick, Carter Bryant, was also a pretty good shooter in college, so that's encouraging. He did it on pretty low volume, and his free throw percentage was just under 70%, so he does not feel like a sure thing as an outside shooter. Time will tell. I don't mean to imply that shooting is everything, because among these names, there's some really good defenders and especially good playmakers. But when it comes to this duo here, teams will be licking their chops at an opportunity to sag off of bad shooters. If I'm playing the Spurs in the playoffs and even one super unproven three-point shooter is on the floor, then I'm putting my hopefully tall wing defender on Wemby and having my big hover around the rim ready to help, letting Jeremy Sohan or whoever take the open three if they get it. This game is a chess match, and if you have a strong weakness, especially among multiple players on the same floor at the same time, it will be used against you in an extremely debilitating manner. The Celtics won the 2024 title despite neither of their stars shooting the three ball well, and the Thunder did it with the team as a whole not shooting it all too well. So it's not everything, but at the very least, they did have the respect of the defense for most of their most important shooters. Having the threat of that shot not being able to be sagged off of by the defense, it just goes a long way towards making the offense operate like a well-oiled machine. The biggest benefit of this core is that there should always be a good option available to set up Wemby. I like that, barring injuries, Wemby is guaranteed to have at least one of Fox, Dylan Harper, and Stephon Castle as a ball handler on the floor at all times. Sohan is also a great decision maker, relative to his position, of course. That's ample playmaking, which, given that Wemby has the potential to be the best play finisher ever with the combination of his lob target ability and his high volume shooting with a heavily and entirely uncontestable jump shot, well, having that level of playmaking means a lot. I also like this defense more now with Cornett and Bryant on the bench. Castle should also be able to be even more of a menace on defense in year 2, and I think the offense will be better in the non-Wemby minutes as well. They also have a new coach in Mitch Johnson. I don't know a thing about the guy. Spurs fans, if you have any insights you'd like to share about him, I welcome it. So ultimately, he's an unknown. I cannot factor that into the equation here. So my ultimate conclusion is there are too many unknowns with the core of this team for me to say confidently that they're a contender. I believe in the duo to be at least really fucking good, if not great, but the everything else I'm just going to have to see play out before I make any sweeping conclusions. So, to answer the question of are the Spurs contenders, we'll see. I, for one, am leaning towards the idea that this year for the Spurs will be similar to what last year was for the Houston Rockets, where they're a super good regular season team with a ton of upside, and people kind of jump the gun a bit with the contender label. But give it another year, some development, and or a trade later, and then you can come back into next season as a legit contender. There is always the possibility that they make another major swing in the trade market. That's not traditionally what the Spurs have done, but neither was the Fox trade. They still have quite a treasure trove of assets. They could easily, in my opinion, get another all-star caliber player without even having to give up Harper or Castle. They got good, easily tradable contracts and some other young guys worth investing in. I also believe they can trade draft picks, though they also could trade one of Dylan Harper or Stephon Castle for like an extra special player if one were to become available. If the fit with Harper and Fox ended up being kind of weird, if like I don't know, Devin Booker were on the trade block, moving Harper for him, while more short-sighted, is far from a worst case outcome, to say the least. There are many different directions that they can take this thing, but I again want to applaud the Spurs organization for not wasting the time of Wemby. If they ended up putting a contender around Wemby before his rookie extension year even kicks in, then that would be a home run for this franchise. And even if they didn't this year, I think a lot of things would have to go wrong for this team to not be ready to make shit rough in the West in the season after next, or at maximum like 3 years from now. But I think it'll be earlier than that. All I know is I'll be watching the whole way because goddamn Wemby is based. Based! Bro is Mao posting, denouncing Karl Malone on the timeline. Hell yeah, dude. That's the end of this video. Shout out to Rudy for editing it. Again, go check out that deep dive when it comes out. But that is it. Goodbye.